Hey everybody, Nick here, and today, well, I'm going to do a little disassembly for you, maybe, on this little guy. This is the CRKT Two-Timer. This is a, this is a knife, isn't it, though? Oh, man, is this a knife. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it, review-wise yet, but by God, it's going to be something. And it looks like the only screw that I need to worry about is coming out without too much trouble, so that's a beautiful thing. The reason I'm doing this disassembly at all, partly because it amuses me, but partly because I get the sense this has a fair amount of gunk up in it, so hopefully we're going to be able to do a couple of favors for the action, so to speak. Oh yeah, look at that. That's ugly. Hopefully this will be a much smoother abomination by the time that we are done, although it will most certainly remain an abomination. Ah, crap. Left my booze in the other room. Hold on. All right, I found it. Sorry about that. Here you go, booze. Had it in the other room. I'm doing a little bit of painting at the moment with a sheet of metal. So Pinterest is a thing. It's a social network, mostly consisting of women trying to find ideas for weddings. And unfortunately, my fiance is among those women. And that's fine. I fully support people planning for weddings, but it leads to a variety of weird projects, one of which is a board for magnets. Because we are apparently going to be giving away at a very small wedding a set of magnets. And those magnets need a board, and that board needs to be metal, and that metal needs to be painted. And that's where I come in. Holy crap, this is disgusting. And so I've been, among other things, this morning painting metal for a board for magnets for a wedding, because Pinterest is a thing. So that's my life. But honestly, I gotta, yeah, wedding bells are ringing. Should be fun. But anyways, that is, if that's the worst thing that Pinterest brings into my life, then by God, I'm pretty okay with it. The fiance, one of the many reasons I love her is not a bridezilla type, so to speak. She's very realistic about what can and cannot go on during the course of a wedding, given our budget and, frankly, given our personalities. And so it should be a very nice affair. And if that's the only thing I do not understand about this process, then by God, I'm a lucky man. So, anyways, that's the situation there. And that's why the booze was in the other room. As you can see here, the construction of this knife is very simple, probably a little too simple, which makes sense given that it is the K.I.S.S, Keep It Simple, Stupid knife. Stupid, of course, being a pretty operative word going on here. Just trying to clean everything out of here. See if I can put this down so I can wipe this washer off a little better. Very, very dirty, grody, disgusting, but that's okay. That's the point. And I want to thank the person who just wants to be credited as another veggie bastard, a fellow vegetarian, for sending this little guy along. This is not a knife I would have gotten to check out. Well, I would have bothered to check out otherwise. And although I'm still, like I said, trying to figure out exactly what I want to do with it in terms of a review, I know that it's going to be something special. A couple of things to highlight here. Oh, good, that does lift off, so I can get under there again. I don't want to try very hard here not to overbend. Oh, there that went. Not to overbend that particular little area, just because that would be unfortunate. And here underneath, we can actually see the CRKT locks system, LAWKS here, which is on there. Excellent. Then that's got itself a little washer with some bends to it. Helps to push everything together. And clean this out. This is going to be in a much better shape by the time we're done with it. And then over here we can see the detent system, because this knife has two separate detents, because this knife has two separate blades, because this knife is insane. So there you go. And then while I'm in here, I'll just go ahead and wipe that little area out there. Actually, let me get some. And then we are almost actually done with this little guy. For keeping it simple, they have sure complicated this, but at the same time, I could respect that there is just one screw, so there you go. I guess it's an integral handle, except it's a bunch of pieces. Hey, whatever, I'll take it, right? All right, it's time to start Oh, no, I want to clean this off. What on earth is that? Oh, that's there's a little bend in this copper here that's keeping this guy from rotating in an unpleasant manner. Well, okay, the whole thing rotates mostly in an unpleasant manner, but yeah, it's keeping everything aligned properly. Now, it actually looks like it's reasonably smoothed out. The washers are all right, so I'm not going to bother like polishing washers or anything like that. Instead, we're just going to go ahead and start rebuilding here. We can rebuild it. We have the technology. And I'm going to go ahead and, as I'm doing this, I'm going to use the 85 weight nano oil. This is not ever going to be like a fly open action showpiece kind of thing, but I'm just going to use a little bit of this here. And drop this into position. Where is the wear on this guy? Right now I'm looking at this washer here to see exactly what's been rubbing. There we go. Okay, yeah. And that way I can reposition everything properly. We'll go ahead and lubricate this little guy here. That way, as this guy runs, it can run well. You going? Yes. That drops onto there. Okay, good. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and put a little lube onto the blade, or onto the pivot itself. Here. And then a little bit on the outside of this. Ding, ding, ding. Completely over-lubricating this knife, but that's okay. Then we put the washer into position. This washer needs to go in a very specific position, because otherwise it's going to interfere with the frame lock. That's what this little tab is for. That little tab goes down into that little hole area there, and that, allows me to, as I'm putting things back together, keep everything in alignment here. Okay, so that washer goes there. Now we have the inner of the two blades, because that's a thing to say. Oy, 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 Cricket, what are you thinking here? All right, so that slides right by there. Good. Now we're going to go ahead and put this down here. This is where the bigger of the two... Is this where the bigger of the two washers goes? Hold on. How many washers do we have here? So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the washer size pattern here. That's a little bit... It's a little smaller. Where does this washer go? And then on the bigger, on the outside of this guy. Maybe it didn't have a washer up there. Maybe instead it had the washer down here. And then the locks is in my way, which is preventing the lock bar. Because you can see here the lock bar, this little guy slides in, rotates in so that you can't close the lock bar afterwards. Okay. And the bigger washer came out with this guy. Okay, that's cool. Whatever. All right. So I think what actually went on here is that there is this smaller washer. Yeah, this guy needs to go on here. Really? So that goes... Okay. Yeah, I think that does go here. It's weird to have washers on top of washers, but I guess that's what makes sense. There we go. And I believe this guy goes in the middle here. Yeah. There's that. Is there another washer someplace rolled off under something? Maybe. This may be one where I'm watching the tape, so to speak. Okay, there's that. Why are you not going into... Oh, there you go. That's why you're not going into position. All right. Yeah, and then this just goes right onto here, I think. Or is there another washer in there? I don't recall. Let's take a look at the bottom side of this. There does not appear to be any wear for another washer in there. And similarly, there's not up top either. So I'm just assuming that it then spins against this piece here, which is serving as a washer of sorts. So we'll go ahead and drop that on there. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is use a little bit of blue Loctite thread locker and put that guy back together. Then after this, I'm going to go on ahead and watch the video and see whether there was any washers that I was missing. At which point I will make the needed repairs and report back later on. But at that point, it won't have helped anybody because you guys can already have rewound the video. And so I'll already have 1,000 people. Oh, shoot, I forgot to oil the detent ball. Luckily, here it is, and here it is. But I'll have 1,000 people in the YouTube comments already at this point saying, Nick, you idiot, you forgot to do X, Y, and Z. No, that's not how the washers go. And highlighting the fact that I am indeed not a brilliant man. There we go. Oh, come on, get in there. Slide. Get in there. All right, so now that that's seated, what I'm going to do is pull the lock bar back. This will reduce the pressure on the overall affair. Allow me to get this twisted into position here. Am I going in like cross-threaded or something like that? Maybe. I hope not. I think it's just really bad threading. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, now, that is way smoother. Centering looks impossible to measure. That's good. That is like way, way smoother. This could tighten down a little bit more, so I'll do that now. Yeah, that's way smoother. Which is hilarious, because this is never going to be an action showpiece, but oh my god, is that an improvement. And it's also a little bit easier to open and unlock things. Yeah, it's got a little tiny bit of play. Let me tighten this down a little bit. Although it had a little play before, so I may not be able to avoid that. There we go. No play with that blade. Let's see with the bottom blade here. There you go. It's mostly the lock bar having trouble there. But let's go ahead and see if I can tighten down a little bit more, if that helps anything. Tighten down a little more. Oof. Okay, that's maybe a little too tight. Yeah, that's way too tight. Let's back that off. Scotch. There we go. Backed off one scotch. I mean, part of this is just the design is not super good, but I think we're okay. Yeah, that's better. Let's just make sure the locks system works, by which we will push this forward. Yeah, then that goes into position, which prevents me from hitting the frame lock. That works. See, this way we can do serious work with this tool. And, alrighty. Then here we see the detent balls, nicely done. Yeah, I think we're good to go here. Alrighty, there you go. That was the CRKT K.I.S.S Two-Timer. Oy, 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 oy. And hope this has been interesting to you. Have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.